Cassie Harper stared at her phone in horror. Confirmed. +1. The wedding app message flashed on the screen, and she felt like her soul was leaving her body. No way! Her best friend Jake looked up from his burger. What's wrong? Cassie sank into her chair, dazed. I accidentally confirmed I was bringing a date to my cousin's wedding. Jake frowned. Well, just tell them it was a mistake. I can't. Aunt Carol is already excited because I'm finally bringing someone. And my mom called 5 minutes ago saying it's about time I settled down. Jake burst out laughing. So basically, you need to rent a boyfriend. Cassie stared at him. Jake. He raised his hands. Oh no. No. Don't even think about it. Please. It would just be for a weekend. Cassie, I'll buy you pizza for a month. Jake crossed his arms. 2 months. Cassie gritted her teeth. Deal. Jake smiled smugly. Well then, dear fake girlfriend, tell me, when's the wedding? Cassie smacked her forehead. This was going to be a disaster. The wedding weekend arrived, and Cassie never thought Jake would take it so seriously. From the moment they checked into the hotel, he played his part with dedication. Honey, do you need help with the bags? He said, winking. Yes. Sure, she replied, feeling strangely nervous. Things got worse at the family dinner. How did you two meet? Aunt Carol asked excitedly. Jake took Cassie's hand naturally. Oh, it was magical. We met in college, but it took her years to realize I was the love of her life. Cassie felt herself choke on her drink. That's not true. Jake laughed. Well, technically it is. Because first we were friends, then best friends. And then one day I realized my life without her made no sense. A collective sigh went around the table. Cassie was sure her mom was already planning their wedding. But the worst part was when Jake whispered in her ear. Maybe this charade isn't so bad. Cassie felt her heart racing. No, this was definitely going to be a disaster. After the wedding, as they walked along the beach, Cassie couldn't help but ask, Jake, why are you so good at this? He shrugged. Maybe because I'm not pretending. Cassie stopped in her tracks. What? Jake looked at her, with a soft smile. Cass, I've been in love with you for years. But I never knew if you felt the same. Cassie's heart raced faster than she thought she'd faint. Jake, you don't have to say anything now. Just think about it. Cassie looked into his eyes. And suddenly, she understood everything. Maybe, just maybe, this wasn't a disaster. Maybe it was the start of something real. More than friends. By accident. Cassie felt her world tilt. Jake, her best friend, had just confessed he's been in love with her for years. Are you joking? She asked. He shook his head, smiling softly. Not this time, Cass. Cassie looked at the ocean for a moment, trying to sort out her thoughts. It all started as a charade. A simple strategy to survive her family wedding without Aunt Carol pestering her. But what if Jake was right? What if it wasn't just a charade? Memories flooded back. All the times Jake had been there for her, his unwavering support, his silly jokes that made her laugh on the worst days. I don't know what to say, she whispered. Jake smiled with the infinite patience he always had with her. You don't have to say anything now. Just think about it. Cassie took a deep breath. She looked at Jake, the guy who'd always been by her side. And then she knew. I don't need to think about it. Jake looked at her in surprise. You don't? Cassie shook her head, stepped forward and kissed him. It was an awkward kiss at first. But then Jake wrapped his arms around her waist and pulled her close, deepening the kiss with a tenderness that melted Cassie's heart. When they parted, Jake grinned with that charming arrogance. So, does this mean you're not putting me back in the friend zone? Cassie laughed, resting her forehead against his. No, it means I no longer have to pretend I'm not in love with my best friend. Jake kissed her again, and Cassie knew this time. It wasn't a charade. It was real.